morning and welcome to the Treehouse. This is Kag with the View from Above Tarot reading for Sunday, the 29th of September. This morning we are going to do the what do we need to know, what do we need to be thinking about, and what do we need to do reading for this Sunday morning. So the cards were deeply shuffled before we began, and we are ready to lay this out. Remember that this reading is for the collective, and so it may or may not resonate with you. Take whatever sort of hits and leave the rest. So here's what we need to know today. It would be helpful to know today. Here's what would be helpful to think about today. And here's what would be helpful to do today. So whatever question you might have in mind, maybe a project that you've got started or something that you're going to be doing this week or today or whatever, maybe there is some inspiration that can be helpful to you in this spread this morning. So here is what would be helpful for us to know. And that is the Two of Pentacles, which is a juggler fellow. Look at him. He is juggling those two pentacles, trying to figure out which one should be a priority. And maybe they can't be a priority. Maybe they both need to be a priority. What's interesting to me about this card is that there are two ships on the ocean behind him, which means to me that he's got stuff going on that he can't do anything about. He's handed it off to somebody else, but he's certainly got enough on his plate here that he is trying to organize and keep afloat those two balls. So whatever it is that you've got going today, it isn't just two things, right? There's some other things in the background that there's really nothing you can do about because those items are in other hands or in other places, or it's not time for them to be here. But this is a lot. So you've got a lot on your plate as you're thinking about the stuff of your life this morning. So what would be helpful, and we'll do each of these triads in their entirety before we move on. So let's clarify our Two of Pentacles. And we have the Three of Wands and the Eight of Wands. So the Three of Wands is the fellow who sent those ships out into the ocean to do something for him. And he's standing here on the cliff. In this particular deck, it does not look like he is barefoot. It looks like he might be standing there in his stocking feet, perhaps, but they aren't glaringly naked. So as he's looking out there, he is either watching them go out into the world or he is waiting for them to come into the harbor. So however that resonates for you, but it certainly is tied to what's going on here. There's really nothing you can do about those ships out on the ocean. You have to be managing what it is that is right in front of you, and you're going to have to wait. And the Eight of Wands really confirms this. This is communication, messages, projects that were put into play by you or by others that have not landed yet. So, and it could be because it's Sunday, right? So many things cannot get accomplished on Sunday because many places are closed. So this is really about managing what is in front of you, trying to be patient about what you have put in place and waiting for the rest of whatever these projects are to come into fruition. So that is what we need to know today. There's probably something we really can't do because it is Sunday, but to just be aware of what's going on in the background, things that you have launched and what is for you to do today. This is also a card about being present. Let's be present to what is happening, knowing that we've got stuff in the background, but be present to what today is giving us. And I think that may be the message for what we need to know today. So let's look at what would be helpful to think about today. So the Moon is the card of not being able to see clearly. It is also a deeply emotional card, and it can kick up a lot of fear. And so what we need to think about today is what is it that we can't see? What is it that we are not aware of? And to maybe be okay with that. Maybe there's nothing we can do about the barking dogs, right? That we can't really see very clearly. and we're feeling a lot of emotion about the fact that we're going to have to walk between them to get up to those mountains in the back. And maybe to just remember that we are have a little fear and trepidation, and that we can't know everything at this moment. And there's some comfort in knowing that the truth is revealed to us as we move on the path. We can't always see, more than about 10 steps ahead of us, if we can even see that. But to have some confidence that we'll figure it out when we get there, even if we don't know. So that is where we are thinking this morning. And we have the moon clarified by the Hierophant. The Hierophant is the knower of wisdom, but also the teacher of wisdom. So we think about the high priestess. She is the internal knower of the wisdom. But the Hierophant is the fellow who is teaching out in the world. He takes the knowledge and shares it with the world. You can see him. He is speaking to these two monks here. And in this particular rendition of the card, you can't really see very clearly, but there are the keys to the kingdom down here on the dais. And so the Hierophant is charged with telling, being the vessel of the wisdom of the holy, if you will, but imparting knowledge to other people. In his more negative energy, he wants to keep that energy to himself, that he tends to be a little possessive rather than wanting to share that wisdom. And so sometimes learning new things can be very, very scary. So have you learned something new that is kind of kicking up some fear here? Not really sure. Let's look at the second clarifying card, and that is the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords is moving from troubled waters to something a little more calm. And as always, we can't really see where that's going, which ties in with the moon. We can't really see where we are going. And as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking that the Hierophant is that promise that we will know what we need to know when we get there. So as we think about what we're doing over here, this is trust that the universe will hand us what we need to know when we need to know it. It reminds me of the story of Corrie ten Boom, who was a woman in World War II, who I believe that she and her family were the ones in the Netherlands who hid Jews. And when she was a little person, there was a story about how her father said, she asked her father, "Where are we going and where's my ticket?" And he said, "Honey, you don't need to worry about the ticket. I'll keep the ticket and I'll give it to you at the last minute when you need it." And so that reminds me of the Hierophant. We don't always need to know everything, but we have trust that we will be given what we need to know when we need it. That's kind of a long way around that story, but that is what we are to think today. It would be helpful to think. We don't really know exactly what's going to happen here, and we have faith that what we need to know will be shared with us at the right time. So what should we do today? What would be helpful to do today? We have that Page of Wands, and he is the enthusiasm. He is the fellow who is really excited about that wand. So this card really charges us with being our playful selves. The pages tend to be a little gregarious and happy, and so that is kind of what we're charged with today. And now you know that we are reading pages, messages, and so we will take Meriwether and put her up here. And I'm going to just shuffle one time to get the message that the page is bringing us today. And we will cut those cards. I'm kind of off camera here. And we'll take the top card for the page's message, which is the King of Swords. So what he's telling us is that we've got to see both sides of things, right? Not to get so focused on one thing that we think that's the right answer. But we need to be open for looking at both things. And to be excited about knowing both sides of things, and whether that is a discussion with family or the possibility of doing something one way or the other. But it is about being open about being open and enthusiastic about exploring what the two possibilities are. So that's our message from the page this morning. And let's clarify it by the fact that we've got Seven of Cups, which is a lot of emotion. This is a lot of ideas and a lot of dreams and what would we really like to do and we really don't know. And that kind of plays along with the enthusiasm of the page with the kind of the charge of saying, okay, we need to look at both sides of these things while we make a decision about what we're going to do today. And the other card is the Magician. The Magician is the fellow who brings things into manifestation, right? He has all of the energies on his table, and he has the capacity to bring it into the world. So what is it that you're dreaming about? What are you enthusiastic about? What would be two different ways to think about how we're going to do this today? So that is, the Magician has the power to do that. As above, so below, as within, so without. What are you dreaming about today? What is that imagination pulling up for you? Let's be thoughtful and logical about how we might do this, and let's make it happen. Okay. So let's see what we have here before we turn Merriweather. We have 1, 2, 3 wands. We have 2 swords. We have a cup and we have a pentacle. And we have all of the energies present. Okay, and what does Merriweather have for us today? She has the Knight of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles is an action card, but he is really a slow-moving action card. In fact, sometimes he can get stuck and needs a little kick in the pants. So as we are waiting, it may be that we're just not sure we want to move ahead here, that there may be some fear about wanting to move ahead. So the kick in the pants really can come from our Page of Wands, who's got the enthusiasm and the, hey, let's go do this, the will and determination of the Wands in order to kind of get this moving a little bit. What is it that we're dreaming about doing? What is it that we need to think about for how we're going to do it? And how do we bring this into fruition? Well, we have to get moving. And we have to not be afraid. We know that we'll know what we'll need. We will get what it is that we need to know at the right time. Some things there's nothing we can do about right now. But let's go. Let's do it. So I think that's what we'll call today. Let's do it. And that is what I have for us here at the Treehouse this morning. If this reading was helpful, and I hope that it was, I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. And I invite you to come back again tomorrow for another View from Above tarot reading here at the Treehouse. Blessings.